going to be a wet blank.
Oh, that's okay. Tell me your name.
My name is Eva Mosely. I live in Cambridge. We have met before.
It's nice to see you, Eva.
And I'm speaking about Israel's accusing 6 Palestinian human rights organizations that they're terrorists. And last week, Israeli troops raided their offices, taking files and equipment, making a mess, and sealing the doors. 10 European countries, all but one members of NATO, have studied Israel's so-called evidence for the accusation. All 10 said there is no evidence, and they will continue to support the 6 groups' important work. And the U.S., so far, silence from the State Department, the White House, and most members of Congress. Last I heard, you included Senator Warren. This says no U.S. questions for Israel, no support for the Palestinians. I've admired your work for equality and consumer rights since long before you were a senator. Used to see you on 60 Minutes. But as a one-time refugee from Nazi Vienna, I wonder about the future of democracy here and in Israel. In allowing Israel to pursue its authoritarian ways, you're cooperating in the worldwide anti-democratic trend. Will you speak out and legislate so that my offspring and their contemporaries will still live in a democracy and won't be supporting an autocratic, oppressive Israel?
Thank you. I want to start the answer, if I can, with what I think is the big picture here. And that is, we need to step up much more aggressively on our policy with Israel. And with the Palestinians. And when I say aggressively, I mean arguing for what has been our policy for a long time, and we seem to have left it behind. A two-state solution.
No.
Yes, because what is critical, if we give up on this before we start, then we don't find a way.
The Israelis gave up on it from the very beginning. There's never been and there never will be.
The question to me was, what do I think the United States should push for? And I think this is what the United States should push for. The Israelis have a right to live in security. The Palestinians have a right to live and be treated with respect and dignity.
In security.
And security. Everyone has a right to be able to live securely in this region. And obviously that is not happening. And the United States has not stepped up. We have continued to pretend that we strongly support a two-state solution. It is the official policy of the United States, but we have not pushed for it. And I think that's a mistake. I think we need to do much more in pushing for exactly that. And that's what I will do. I have, actually. You know, I actually spoke out when Prime Minister Netanyahu came at the invitation not of the President of the United States and came to speak. I didn't go. I have spoken, and I have often been one of a very small handful of people who's done it. But I've tried to do so in a respectful way for both sides. Because I am deeply worried that if we can't find peace that's based on respect and treating other human beings with respect in the region, then we've got a problem that goes way beyond Israel. It's a problem that morphs to the rest of the world. So I have spoken up. I will continue to speak up. But our government needs to push the parties together for a solution, not to stand by if one takes advantage of the other. That is not what is helpful here. So that's what I believe about. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay.
It's okay. Go ahead.
Okay, Senator Warren, I first want, this is on a theme, right? So
Okay.
we got a thing going here.
Okay.
Senator Warren, I first want to thank you for all the causes and issues you support zealously, which is why I campaign for you and donate to you.
Thank you.
Nevertheless, Senator, this Jewish woman would like to know what it would take for you to break your silence and speak out with a full throat against the ongoing ethnic cleansing of Palestinians. The U.S. is in bed with Israel in all regards. Mass taxpayers alone spend $130 million for weapons that Israel uses against Palestinians. This is only one of the egregious ways in which we are complicit with this apartheid regime. Please speak out for freedom and justice for Palestinians who are human beings and need you. You are a powerful person. People listen when you speak.
So I appreciate the very kind words. I have spoken out, and I will continue to speak out. I want to speak out in a way to be heard. Which part of the money?
The $3.8 billion that we give.
I am one of the very few who has talked about how that money should and should not be used. And I think that we have to continue to do that. For the rest of you, it's the notion of putting any restrictions on money that goes to Israel, which is not the position of most of the United States Senate and most of the House of Representatives. And I have argued that money cannot be used for purposes of expanding the settlements.
Did you
And
vote for it? Did you vote for the $38 billion over 10 years?
I'm trying to remember how the vote came up. I'd have to go back and look at how the vote came up. But we've had this vote every year, and this has been what I've spoken up for.
Well, speaking up is one thing. Voting against the money is the only thing that Israel is going to listen to.
Let me go back and look, okay?
Thank you.
But I get your point.
I'm sure you do.
I do get your point, and I appreciate your being here to talk about it. I understand that it's a point of principle, and it's also a point of security, and it's also a point of what kind of human beings we want.
Because it's one thing.
Okay, I think I'm about to pull another ticket. I'm going to pull a few. And I'm informed by the amazing Warren team that you have to be the person who's holding the ticket. That is the rule of town hall. Okay, so the next one up is